Okay, so hey there, everybody, and it's been a while since I've posted a video about anything I've been up to. Right now, I'm kind of getting ready for Christmas. It's a little early. My setup, my Christmas layout, those of you who've seen all my videos the past couple of years, it keeps growing every year, and my goal every year is to have my layout up by Thanksgiving weekend. So I'm building stuff now, trying to get it ready, get it done, get it all set up so that I can tuck it away for whatever time is left, and then the week of Thanksgiving start putting all this together. But last year, if you remember, I had my helix, my double helix that corkscrewed up one way, went to the other side, corkscrewed back down, went across, and did it all over again. And I had these little pedestals in the middle that you'll see under this that had two 4-foot tall nutcrackers as the centerpieces for each of the helixes. Last November, after we had all that, I had all that stuff set up, we had that really bad earthquake here that rocked my world in a way I didn't want it rocked, and knocked a lot of my trains off the shelves, just kind of laid waste to a lot of stuff. My model airplanes, boats, all that stuff, everything got tossed around, but I still had a roof over my head. But in that, I decided I needed to find a way to tie the two pedestals together so that they were more stable in the aspect of if one rocked, the other one was to hold it, the other one rocked, back and forth. And in doing that, I thought, I could run a speeder around that on an 031 loop. And I couldn't figure out how to pull that off, but now that I have a 3D printer, I'm figuring it out. Basically, I'm printing all these little bridge segments on my 3D printer. I'm in the process of making the straights right now. I need to measure out the gap for the last one and make a shorter one to fit that. I'm printing the straights on the other side. They're over here on my 3D printer right now. That's what they look like. Don't mind the blue stripe on the rail of the one. I ran out of filament, and that was how close I got. But these are the beginnings, about 2 hours into a 15-hour and change print for the straight units. This is a support raft that holds up because the solid bottom here that goes across makes a tab that sticks out into the next one, and a gap on this end for the tabs to go into, so it kind of makes them overlap. This builds up to 2 millimeters, and then it prints everything across the top of it to support it because you can't print into outer space. And it leaves me with a lot of these, so I'm kind of thinking maybe I've got the basis for some chain link fences that I can cut out of there, so I'm going to hold on to those. Using all the different filaments for different projects, but this green Solutech stuff that prints really has to be really hot to print if you do 3D printing. I have to crank this up to 225 degrees for PLA filament. Usually I'm somewhere about 200, 205, 220 for the metallics, the silk colored filaments, but any of the regular color stuff, usually about 20 degrees cooler printing. This stuff will clog the nozzles if it doesn't get hot. But so, making up all these, the straight pieces and everything so that I can put all this together. In the setup for all this, I printed these brackets, and they're 2 halves. They're a hub, an octagon. There's actually a port down there for one and one on the other side that I'm not using. I may stick one out to catch this, because one of the things I decided to put in the middle is a little bump and go, and use my little post-war gang car to go between and just bump around. I don't have any trolleys, but that's okay. But so I need to drill the wood for all of these and sandwich this down, and it'll actually bolt to this to hold it steady. Then I've got all these brackets that I printed on the 3D printer. They're under here, joining everything together and giving the bridge segments something to glue onto. So all of this, unfortunately I measured off how far apart these had to stand last winter when I took down the Christmas layout, but all of this will go between and over the double helix which is an 036 loop. So this will be a little bit narrower across than or this is 031. The helix is 036, so this will be a little bit narrower. And then around that whole helix and under this will be the Polar Express. So yeah, it takes a lot of time for printing, but the spool of filament's under $20, and almost all the green that you see here, less one piece, was one spool. I should be able to get about the same out because I've got one more project I'm going to make that's going to let me run something. But this is going to run my K-Line Santa Claus Coca-Cola speeder. Let me take you and show you that guy. So the goal is this K-Line Santa Claus Coca-Cola speeder with its little wagons is going to go around that loop, that outer loop on the pedestal base. Doesn't weigh very much, doesn't take much power, so it should be, and that actually runs pretty slow voltage, so it should run really nicely around that. And then there's something else that will be coming that I'm going to run those guys. If I get that pulled off, that'll make 8 loops running around my tree and around the helix and everything else. So it's going to be a pretty entertaining Christmas if I can get this all pulled off. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been up to. We'll talk to you all later.